Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to being here. I'm Ariel.
And I'm Shya.
What?
How did this happen?
We were talking about it.
I mean, in 3 days, Ariel is going to be 65.
Yep.
And we met.
Well, when I first laid eyes on Shya, it was in 1980, actually.
Really?
Because I did my first transformational training in 1980, and in the summer of that. So that was a while ago. 41 years ago.
41 years ago.
Yeah. So there you go.
And that's when you first laid eyes upon me.
That's right. 43 years ago, right? Because it's 1980, 43. But we started dating 41 years ago. And here I am about to officially, in the United States anyway, be a senior citizen, Medicare.
Social Security, if you want it.
I'm deferring that thing.
That's right.
Yeah, so I love it. I feel so alive. Being here is the access way to your life wherever you are.
Right. I mean, here's the problem. We don't listen. But let's leave listening alone for a moment.
Okay.
We disregard what we are not immediately, what we don't know to see. So anything that doesn't seem relevant to our agendas, to getting where we think we need to get to, we disregard, which is mostly our lives. In each moment, your life is taking place, and you can either be engaged in experiencing being alive, or you can think about what you think you need to do in order to be successful. But you're already successful because you're alive. That you exist is a miracle. I mean, given all things, apparently, this is one of the few places in the universe where life exists, planet Earth.
If you're here for it, then life doesn't exist. Your thoughts exist, and they're repetitive.
And they are mostly a complaint about what is, thinking something else is going to be better.
Yesterday I met with, or the day before, I guess, with a relatively new friend in town, in our little tent near us in Clinton, and went to a place called the City Spot, which is a local coffee shop that through COVID, through floods, through everything, they've been open 365 days a year since 2010 or whatever.
Really?
They've never closed.
Oh, that's great.
And I walked in, and I got there a little early, and the man behind the counter, who I haven't seen before, I've often, when I've gone in the afternoon, he's like, "You're new here."
Well, that's great.
How can I help you? But you're waiting for someone. He was just immediately tuned in. I said, "Is this your place?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "What's your name?" He said, "My name is John." "Hi, John. I'm Ariel." And we started talking about what he had to offer.
So he was the proprietor.
He owned it. I said, "Are these teas new?" He said, "No, the teas have always been here." So I guess I've been clued in on coffee. We had this whole conversation, and my friend came, and we sat, and the place slowly filled. And she ordered her regular thing. And then when we were getting ready to leave, I'm like, "Goodbye, John. Thanks. That was great." And she looked at me really shocked. I was clear that after all these years, she had no clue what his name was.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was very interesting, because I wasn't asking him to be social or nice, but I was truly interested in who this person was.
You're engaged in how your life is showing up moment by moment. So then whatever's showing up in your life in this moment is appropriate to your moment. So you might as well engage in it with enthusiasm, as though this is where your life is taking place. Yes, it is.
I got really excited about the possibility of going back, simply because I found this man so fascinating. My life is filled with wonder.
Because it's all new.
When you're here for your life, you have moments where you go, "Oh, what?"
Well, if you listen to the news, you'll go that way.
Or if you listen to the news in your head, your thoughts. I have to say,
It's not news in your head, it's old in your head.
it's reruns.
It's reruns. Really, those grade Z movies.
Yeah, when I was a kid, there was so little on, so there was always reruns of Gilligan's Island or Bowling for Dollars or The Mummy's Tomb. I never liked them the first time around, or I rarely liked them, but I watched them because that's what was on.
That's right.
And that's kind of like our thoughts. Some are a little bit more pleasant than others, but they're reruns.
Anyway, we have a guest.
Let's take her, shall we?
Yes.
Welcome to being here. Tell people who you are and where you are.
Hello, Ariel and Shya. This is Katja. I'm calling in from Hamburg, Germany.
Welcome, and also welcome back. I know we originally, unbeknownst to us, had this recording scheduled, and it wasn't in Shya and my schedule, so you and Cheryl showed up without us. And so we're so happy you were probably going, what?
So welcome back.
Yeah, thank you for making the time to come again and be with us.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Cheryl and myself had a sweet chat this other day, and so it was lovely being in this room space of transformation and just exchange our status of being where we were at that time of the day. So, and I'm so happy to see you. And as you just said, Ariel, that you're going to be 65 in a few days. And I look at the both of you and I'm so, wow. And I said to myself, you are so lovely watching, because you're so alive and not concerning, but in terms of age, there's, when I look at you, no age. And this is such, every time I see you, an inspiration, and what I learned with you guys was also that my age is not important, although sometimes it's in my head, and then there's something like 52, but it is something like, no, 52 is not in my body, is not in my, how do you say, agenda or so. And that is really, really cool. And I love it what you also said, Shya, that we are sometimes driven to follow an agenda. And I'm in this time during a new orientation, if I'm going back to an employment in a company, or am I going to be self-employment? And then from time to time, there's this mind chatter flying through, and like, oh, how is that possible? What is possible? And you know what? And it is so exciting to allow myself just to do, in a way, nothing. And also I'm doing something, or I'm just being, I had this wonderful things which were coming to me without looking for it. Like, for example, I was asked or invited to be at an audio talk format, or at the platform LinkedIn and at Clubhouse. And I was asked to be like a speaker, or like a participant. And I just jumped into it. I had such heartbeat and so excitement in me. And I was so much, you were so much in my hearts, you both, and transformation, because with you, I learned jump into, just give you a try, jump into it. And that's what I experienced. And then it was really so cool, this journey. Like, I was in this surrounding, and there were people which I judged in my head more capable, more ahead of myself. And then I could realize how I was not in the moment and more in my head, judging myself. And then it was last Monday that all of a sudden you were there again in my heart. And then there was a silence, and I stepped into the silence of this talk, and I just spoke out of my heart, and that was so lovely. And I just shared myself, and then 1 week later, on this Monday, I get a feedback from one of these ladies, and it was so sweet, and I did not expect any of that. So it is really lovely, and well,
I know that our listeners can't see Shya and I, but we've been sitting here smiling
Just enjoying you and who you become.
in your self-expression.
Right. And it's not like you decided to be open to your life. You've found yourself open to your life where you don't have to worry or think about how you're going to deal with things. You can deal with it as your life shows up. The other thing, excuse me, post-COVID cough. It's a long time too. It's almost a half a year ago. In any event, I was taken by how much your face reminded me of a friend of ours who's also from Hamburg. And she has been in this country for 35, 40 years now. And in fact, just got her American citizenship. But I noticed the facial expressions and the vocalization, how you used words. And I realized that you learned growing up in the culture you grew up in. And so did she. So you both have a regionalism, and you have facial expressions that are learned to fit into the culture. So you've learned to be who you think you are from the culture you grew up in. And this is very cool, because then you can discover you when you realize you're not that culture, but that's your baseline of operation into life. You come from that.
Part of what Shya is noticing is that this individual is, she came to Costa Rica with us this year, and she's had this consistency of excitement and well-being and new things happening for her. And your faces have a similar liveliness and excitement about life as you, Katya, are breaking through. You know, it's like seeing the sun come out from behind the clouds of enculturation we all have, and expressing you is really an exciting prospect to see you come alive.
You know, for this show or podcast is how did this happen? Well, how did this happen? You mostly think good thoughts these days.
What you would consider good thoughts, they're the breakthrough ones.
But mostly you're not thinking the way you used to about life. Life is becoming this exciting adventure, or has become this exciting adventure. And it's not because you thought your way here. It happened when you relaxed into your life, when you let yourself be.
In your case, just to promote the upcoming virtual seminar, what you were describing in that moment of silence, where you could either focus on your thoughts about your capability or step into your brilliance, which is what you did. Everyone is brilliant, and everyone has those thoughts, and you either focus on those thoughts or you step into what's next there, and it creates a sense of wonder about your life.
Well, you know, life is interesting. It shows up with possibilities, and then you can either back off from those possibilities or dive into those possibilities. When you dive into the possibilities, you discover your life newly in each moment, and life becomes this exciting adventure. When you back off from possibilities, you fall into your thoughts about why you can't do what you think you want to do. And so for most people, they don't. They don't do what they are inspired to do. They stay in the I coulda, shoulda, woulda category of life rather than rediscover who they are newly. Because you see, there's always this moment, Katya, is the first moment of the rest of your life.
Yes, and yes. And while I was listening, I got this excitement again that leads me to the topic of today. Like, wow, it's so that's so that I'm then ahead of myself, and that I like a costume comes over my head. Like, I need to know exactly where I am in 3 days or 3 weeks, or that I need to know. And then sometimes I'm following these thoughts,
Yes.
and then I got lost.
You know, what I found interesting just now is that you became like an infant a moment ago in your level of enthusiasm and self-expression. You didn't suppress that, oh, wow.
And then it was, your articulation of this was so brilliant, Katya. It was like putting on a costume over your head. And people could see your face. It went into this kind of
Great.
immobile, less colorful version of you, like that pressure to know. In this case, using your earlier example, will I work for myself? Will I go back to work in a company? Because I know that you personally stepped away and retired. You said, okay, I'm done now. Here, now what's next? And it's like, you don't have the answer yet. Either what you want to do hasn't appeared for you yet, you don't have those pieces, or the job that you're going to step into isn't ready for you yet. You just don't have the info. But there's that internal pressure to get it settled for our survivalistic minds.
So excited.
Yeah,
It is. Yeah, exactly.
well, you know, Katya, life is this exciting possibility unless you're stuck in a story that's complaining about where you are as though you should be somewhere else. We recently, it was yesterday actually, were with somebody who was talking about they wanted to do what we do someday. But
I want to be like you someday. Look at you. You look so young.
and you know, you do what you want to do in your life. Well, they're doing what they want to do, but they also complain that what they're doing isn't what they want to do. And so if you think you could be doing something other than what you're doing in the current moment, you're always in distress.
Well, Shya was so sweet with this individual. He said, don't look at doing what we do someday. Step into what you're doing right now as though that's your idea, because it is. Your passion lies here, not someday when your job is over or you have more free time. You're absolutely have your life the way you want it right now.
I love that. Yes. That's so wonderful.
You know, you could have, well, you couldn't have because you didn't, but there was the potential of before you left your previous job, you could have put in place the next thing, but you didn't want that. You wanted that break, and you're in the midst of that break, and you can revel in that break, or you can torture yourself about what's next.
And you know, what's next shows up without your trying to make it show up.
Like that LinkedIn.
Well, like that, or Ariel and I have been together 41 years now.
Wow. Yes, it'll be 41 years.
41 years in July.
Mm-hmm.
And that day that we got together, I couldn't have predicted that that's how my day would end up at the start of that day.
Neither could I. It was not a
Not,
remote possibility.
not on the
in my
radar. Not even a possibility that I'd find the love of my life that day. And so I didn't have to go looking for her. She showed up. And I was amazed.
But this is one of those paradoxes, because it's true, we didn't go looking for it. However, even back then, to the best of our ability, we were fully engaged in what was possible in our lives. So I really see how
And
engagement makes you accident prone for possibility.
Yeah, but the other thing was our relationship was against all odds.
Yeah,
You know, she was 17 years younger than me.
still am.
She still is. But
But now I'm catching up. I'm getting platinum hair so that
yeah, we look like
we used to go out to dinner, Katya, and would take my stepkids, his kids who were younger at the time, and they'd say, "Sir, would you and your children like to be seated now?"
because
I looked so young. I was playing 16 years old on television, so I really had a young look, and so it was
so beautiful.
you still have a
Beautiful.
I do.
Anyway, you don't know how life is going to show up, but if you engage in your life like this is where you're supposed to be, you have a possibility of a magnificent life. If you engage in your life as a complaint that things ought to be different, then nothing will ever satisfy you.
Well, I love that did you say, or did I catch it right, that you're 52?
Mhm.
Yes, right. I said it.
You know, I finally turned into an adult at 50. So, you know, you're good.
Mhm.
I started, I was like, oh yeah, I can own everything about my life, my career, something just blossomed. I threw myself a 50th birthday party. I flew in my family from Oregon to New York at the time. We rented a hall, we catered food, we had so much fun, we had entertainment. It was just really, really brilliant. And I realized that this is my life.
I love that. Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks for with us today. I'm excited for you.
thank you. Yes, I'm
Too.
excited for being here with you guys and being
Katya,
on Earth.
yes,
So-
go for what you want in life.
Ich konnte diesen Titel nicht in deiner Apple Music Mediathek finden. Du kannst mich bitten, einen Radiosender zu spielen.
Did you just turn something on or something turned on?
No, I'm sorry. It came automatically. I was sure that was off. It was my Siri.
Siri talks to us every once in a while.
But Siri doesn't talk to us in German.
No, so that was really cool. Well, thank you for the interlude.
And thanks for the entertaining Siri.
I do want to say one thing. I really see that one of the access ways to experiencing yourself as vital and alive is really taking a look at what's important to you and investing in yourself. It's something I still wrestle with from time to time. I grew up in a rather frugal or household that was being, cautious about money as they needed to be, and cautious about where they invested things as they needed to be. And if they had struggles about, giving us activities or sending us to camp, they certainly put that aside. So we as kids did not feel like we were a burden. But I see how from time to time, if there's something that really would bring me alive, my first thought is, can I afford it?
Yes.
And one of the things that I've learned with Shya is it's now more, can I afford not to? What will happen to my sense of myself, my aliveness? And it's the same thing even on small, intimate things where in the evening we're finding each other attractive. And sometimes it's just really important that we sleep. But other times I know that if I don't invest in that expression of passion, that I'll be less alive tomorrow. So it really is about looking and telling myself the truth.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much.
Lovely being with you, sweetheart.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Hey, it's time for the listener feedback spotlight.
It's where we get to hear from people in this amazing listenership and transformation community talking about what's happening in their lives.
This is Dave, and I'm in Oxford in England. The ideas of transformation have given me a way to connect with the stillness and steadiness that's in my heart. And it's been a real gift to me and to everyone I've connected with.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
If you would like to spend some time with us and invest in yourself, the next,
In person.
well, yes.
In person.
Well, we do have an
Yes.
in-person one coming up in
Okay.
May, which is really good for Katya and her friends and the folks. And actually, a lot of people are not
Coming from the States
coming
over
from the
there.
States or
We're going to Hamburg in May. We have 2 courses there. We have the Freedom to Breathe,
Mhm.
which is on May 25th. That's a Thursday. And then Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, we're doing
Fun
as the access way to enlightenment.
fun. It's a good thing.
Fun, yes.
Now, even if you're going to the in-person, or if you discover that you can't make it there, you can join us at the end of this month for Step into Your Brilliance, April 22nd, 23rd.
It's
a
virtual.
Via Zoom. You're invited. We've been talking about it recently with people. It's Step into Your Brilliance is more like what Katya was talking about, where she relaxed into what was possible and out came her self-expression, where stepping is not a thing of effort. It's
But it's not a
natural.
doing this, it's a being in your moment of your life. In that moment, you're engaged as though it's your idea, that your life is your idea in that moment, not like you're the victim of the circumstances.
Costa Rica is open, and the early registration discount deadline is arriving
Now,
May 1st.
here's the thing. You're worth it. Give yourself Costa Rica. It will be awesome.
It's an exquisite
Well,
location.
This year we did so little and so much happened. And when I say we did so little, it wasn't that we weren't engaged in our lives in each moment there. It was that it wasn't trying to get somewhere. Just being together was enough for incredible transformations.
Yeah, and I found
that are still happening today.
for myself that ease of, and now what?
We had
has
one
followed
person
me
show
here.
up in Costa Rica that we were not sure we could allow to stay because this person was quite problematic as they arrived.
In herself.
That's
She
right.
was very, very agitated in her life.
And we've seen her recently on Zoom videos, and it's as though this is a different human being. There's a sophistication and a well-being and a solidness in her observations and engagement in life that's just remarkable. And we never, ever worked on her there.
Ever. Which was really fun.
I
I
mean-
really love that. Working on yourself doesn't work.
No,
Gotta say it.
working on yourself absolutely doesn't work. Aside from that, it's the name of our first book.
Let's take our guest.
Okay.
All right, Cheryl. Welcome to being here. Where are you zooming in from?
Hi there, Ariel and Shya. This is Cheryl. I'm zooming in from Hong Kong today.
Well, welcome.
An early happy birthday to you, Ariel.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Really, I really appreciate it.
You guys were just talking about your book and working on yourself doesn't work, and that is actually how I came across you guys. And that was when I live in Hong Kong, and I just happened to be reading it, and probably about 12 years ago. So I really, I think my life is just so much, just so. I mean, I have difficult time, or I in my mind, I probably have difficult times, but I just feel like finding that book and finding you guys has really just shifted so much where I can navigate things and I can have a certain ease about my life, even when things might seem challenging. And
Well, you know what I love, Cheryl? Your idea of you is so different than who you are. You know, your idea of you is like you need to get better about certain aspects of your life. Who you are is so accomplished in the world.
Speaking of accomplished, shout out to our friend Benedict, who is the first assistant director on All Quiet on the Western Front, which won 4 Oscars
At the Academy
Awards. And we're very proud of him and proud to have been a part of that. So as you were speaking about her idea of herself,
right, is
so different, because I flashed on that one of the things you do for the institution you work for is book guests for a yearly event that is huge. And I believe one year one of the people you booked was James Cameron, who did Avatar, among other things like Titanic and whatnot. And for you to be able to reach out and make that happen, for you it's kind of like, oh yeah, I did this, as opposed to there's a level of gravitas that you have that you discount because for you it's natural.
Well, and when you look at yourself, you disregard that level of sophistication and accomplishment that you have. You know, and here's the thing. If it's natural to you, if it's normal for you, you disregard it because it's only me. Anybody could do this. But anybody couldn't do what you do. You're an exceptional being, except for the conversation you listen to that tells you have to do more, different, or better to be okay.
Or the moment you have the slightest disappointment or contraction, it's normal to discount everything you've done that has been expansive in nature.
Yeah, it's yes. Speaking of the Oscars, but also James Cameron, I think sometimes what I've learned with you guys is trusting my intuition. I never I think we all have it. Something, again, I learned from you guys, but I didn't realize I had it. And part of the conference that you mentioned is I'm thinking of things that are going to be kind of interest in the future. And I know my mind is always kind of running into the future, but and that's how it's useful. But going to this year's Oscars, I also booked Michelle Yeoh, who won many awards, and it came up at the very last minute. The speaker we were trying to book just kind of gave us the runaround, and 3 weeks before our conference, she canceled. And so I was kind of racking my brain who was going to be big and what's going to be important in 2023. And it just came up and it all happened so easily. And yeah, it was just so bizarre how it all happened.
So Michelle Yeoh, who won Best Actress for Everything Everywhere All at Once, so have you already had her, or is she booked to come?
So she, we but she spoke for us in January, mid-January or early January. Yes.
I love that you saw that coming before it fully blossomed. And I don't see that as so much running forward as you right here, right now, feeling, it's like looking at a sprout coming out of the ground and recognizing what that plant is. Oh, she's about to blossom.
Yeah. Yeah, I like what you said. Not kind of, I like what you said about if I get disappointed, I disregard the things that I have done, or
but Cheryl, everybody does that. Benedict was telling us that the British Film Awards, All Quiet on the Western Front, won not only Best Foreign Film but Best Picture. And then when they didn't win it at the Oscars, he had this thought, oh, I guess, we're not that good, even though they won 4, which is the most ever of a foreign film.
His mind still found some way to invalidate their accomplishments.
Until he walked by Steven Spielberg, who did not get a single Oscar that night. And then he saw Jamie Lee Curtis, who had worked in the industry for more than 50 years and finally got her first. And he was part of getting 4. So it was like, oh, reality came flooding back in. But in the midst of that disappointment, the thoughts come in to negate anything.
All your accomplishments.
Everywhere, all at once. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Right? Yeah.
I have to see that movie again. I didn't appreciate it the first time.
Yeah.
It's a little complicated.
It is a little complex. It's also our first movie after COVID. And there were 4 people in total in the movie theater, which was by design. We tried to go to a showing where we wouldn't have to wear masks, and we accomplished that. And we were like, what? So yes, it again might be a good thing.
I have a question kind of related to what we're talking about, and also what you guys were talking to Katya about. And I know I've been wanting to leave my job for a while, and I put the pressure on myself, maybe in a different way to what you guys were talking to Katya about. It's more of like, why don't I have it now?
Well,
and
I want to suggest something. I want to suggest that you don't work alone. You work with other people. You are unique, though, Cheryl, in that you've invested in yourself, in transformation, in getting yourself into the current moment of your life. And the other people you work with, your colleagues, they may not be invested in their lives. They may be invested in complaining about their life, which would be normal. And they'd be complaining about their jobs and thinking something more different or better will come along.
Plus, there's the political situation in Hong Kong, and so people have been. I would say your statement was inaccurate. You haven't been wanting to leave your job for some time now. You've been entertaining the idea for some time now, but clearly you haven't wanted to leave because like
you haven't.
She just pulled the pin.
Yeah.
I don't see you two having different levels of courage. I see you having an entertainment here, an idea that is repetitive, but clearly you've wanted to be where you are because you're there.
See, all you have to do is know what you want is look where you are, because that's what you want.
The same facility that goes nowhere, Michelle Yeoh, let's book her, is the same facility that can hear the disgruntlement in your fellow employees at work.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because sometimes I walk in and I feel great, or like before I walk in, I'm just feeling like life's great, and then suddenly just I feel like, what am I doing here? It's like a shift.
Have you ever walked into a kitchen where somebody has fresh brewed coffee and you go, whether you like coffee or not, or whether you've had enough for the day, you can smell the aroma. That's particular matter in the air hitting your olfactory receptors. I really have experienced that you can walk into a place and there's minutest particular matter that you can.
If there's disgruntlement in the air, you feel it. You may not know what's causing it, but suddenly your aliveness disappears.
You know, back right before I started dating Shya, I was studying to be an actress with a really renowned teacher, Uta Hagen, and her thing was she would assign a scene and she would assign a scene partner. So I was in my apartment rehearsing my scene, and I said to my partner, we have to turn on the TV. Something awful just happened. I felt it come through like a wave, and I turned on the TV and they were like, President Reagan has just been shot. It was like I could feel the impact of the I get goosebumps now. There was something that shifted in me. And I believe we all have that facility. Most of us have tamped it down, but that's how our line of families made it this far. I got to move. There's an earthquake coming. I got to, the horde is about to cross over the mountain. There's some natural knowing we all have. And now you go in and you're just like, oh, I'm having a blah day. But what if you recognize like, I'm smelling coffee, as opposed to I am the coffee.
Yeah.
And that gives you some choices in life. Otherwise, you make a decision. I can't work here anymore. And I'm not trying to get you to stay in your job. And then you leave, not because you want to leave, but nothing is good enough anymore. See, then nothing is satisfying. You're not being fulfilled by working. Well, maybe that's you picked up your coworker's complaint about life.
Yeah, so and I think what you said, Shya, about working alone, I think there's something to that as well, because I do go about things differently compared to my colleagues, and I feel sometimes I'm like kind of like the black sheep because of it. And
but you've always been the black sheep because of it. That's part of why you moved from Texas to Japan, and then from Japan to Hong Kong. You are a unique individual, and you've it's like when I was a kid and I self-identified as being different. So when I would set the table, I would make my color napkin different, or I would make my fork different, or I would put a different glass in, because I was proving to myself I was different. So I'm not surprised that when you are under stress, your mind identifies you as the black sheep, because I believe that has followed you many places for many, many years. And then from there, that's not a bad thing. That's like a springboard into possibility. Oh, I'm having this thought again. Then maybe there's somebody around you who might be interested in what you have to offer. You don't know. If you've always identified yourself as the black sheep, it creates a membrane between you and the people around you, so you don't have to extend yourself and potentially be rejected or judged. None of us like to be judged.
Yeah.
I really admired yesterday when we were talking to this individual who was saying, I want to be like you in about another 10, 15 years. And Shya was saying, no, now, like he stood there and was not paying attention to that, oh, this person may think I'm stupid or pushy or wrong, or, they might, whatever the thoughts that keep us from offering another option. And then I invited this person to the weekend seminar, and they said, if I don't go to Florida, I'll come that weekend. They probably won't, because they tend to say a lot of things to themselves that they don't do. But we feel that if we don't offend ourselves, if that individual says things and doesn't follow through, why should that person be any different with us
And they are with
with
themselves.
with their family, and with their life? And if you keep it interacting with the perfection of them, it's like an open-handed extension of possibility. And from time to time, somebody takes your hand and gives themselves the leap.
Yeah, well, I'm excited that you guys are offering Costa Rica. I've signed up. I think last week or this week, and you guys hosted it in January after a few years following the pandemic, and I couldn't make it. And I knew that I didn't want to miss it this coming year. So I was just waiting for the registration to come up. And yeah, I feel like it just supports my life. And
Well, slow down, baby. It's not
Yeah.
it that supports your life. It's you that supports your life. And you use the opportunities that life provides to support you in growing.
Yeah.
Don't make
Yes.
it. It's not it. It's you. You are the essence of where your aliveness is housed. But the thing is, to access that aliveness is difficult in a world that's so fraught with upset and danger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really is, because you're coming alive. It's not like, oh, after Costa Rica in January of 2024, I will feel better about myself. You looked, you saw what you wanted, you invested in it. And then it's like right now the aliveness is here, not months from now, but now, because you're looking and you're telling yourself the truth. We've often said transformation happens in a state of honesty. When you are honest with yourself, things come alive. When you try to pretend things don't matter or you don't matter, you tend to go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
I love it too. So happy that you're with us today. And again, I know we thanked Katya personally for coming back. Thank you again for rescheduling after the scheduling snafu that we had. We thought that was the funniest thing, that it was how did this happen? Because it had never happened in all the years that we had scheduled podcasts that we missed one. It was our first in almost 16 years. So appreciate that you guys had it be an expansive experience to be with each other, rather than it was awful.
Yeah, it wasn't that. We like Katya said, it was such a sweet time for us to catch up, and just really enjoyed it. It was yeah, so lovely, and so happy to be here today with you guys.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Yeah. If you'd like to be a guest like Cheryl, you can do that. You just go to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here, and you can find out how. You can also leave a review of this podcast on your favorite podcast app. You can subscribe to it if you want. We didn't mention earlier, if you want to come to Costa Rica, like Cheryl is doing, you go, or any of our seminars, go to transformationmadeeasy.com. We have our full seminar schedule. Particularly if you're listening to this in the archives, you're welcome to do whatever's upcoming. Thanks for being with us today. It's been a treat.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Next week's show.
You ready?
Podcast.
Step into your brilliance.
Step into your brilliance.
We'll be back. So come on, back.
And don't miss being here.